All right, Battletech enthusiasts, Inner Sphere question of the day. Succession era tech looking at PPCs. And the question that I was asked, and as always, we're going to explore the Tactica, build the checklist, and then turn it over and develop those resources in the comments for new players. Are PPCs worth it? You have 10 damage, excellent range, long range, but 10 heat. Essentially, it's 10 for 10. And many mechs in the Inner Sphere already have heat problems unless they've been specifically designed to complement and carry lower levels of multiple weapons. An example would be the Grasshopper does not have heat problems. But what we see, these mechs that rock dual PPCs, and two of them happen to be my favorite all-time mechs, the Warhammer and the Marauder, you reliably can't fire them every turn. So in exploring that, yes, they have their own Tactica, but if we're looking to just take mechs on the meta and take the best mechs that are out there, would it be better avoiding the PPC or utilizing it as a secondary type role? An example would be the Battlemaster. Now, in my mind, the ideal role for the PPC would be something like the Battlemaster. And we'll also kind of look at it in a lower tonnage, because it's easy to say the ideal role is on a heavier assault mech because you have so much structure, you can kind of mount everything and not have to make as many choices with limitations. But the Battlemaster has the PPC, so it has something consistent at long range. Now, you can also do this with LRM packs, but the difference there is, of course, ammo and the spread. You're not going to always get consistent damage. Counterpoint is you could do indirect fire. PPC, if you hit, it's 10 points. Now, if you have one, think of the Battlemaster holding that PPC rifle, on the way in, as you move it to the mission objective or as you look to engage, that's what you're shooting. You've got something to do. And in terms of Inner Sphere, pre-clans, they don't exist yet. We don't know about them, but they're out there getting ready. That's the pinnacle of tech. That's doing a lot of damage and pushing that out. When you get closer, then we switch to short-range missiles, medium lasers. So the PPC in the role as almost secondary, where it's like, look, I need to throw some dice and have some stuff on the way in. Compare that to the Warhammer and the Marauder. And the Awesome, but the Awesome now is at the extreme end of tonnage where you can reliably fire more than one. You can't alpha all three, but you can do more than one. But looking at the Marauder and the Warhammer, you can fire two a turn, but immediately you're going to start building heat. You're going to be pushing heat. You're not going to be able to clear it. And then depending on what's going on tactically on the map, you may be caught flat-footed. An example of that, for some reason, if I have you so engaged or you're hunkered down in the mission objective or you're defending, and I can get a Warhammer or Marauder at a good vantage point where I can shoot reliably every turn, and no one's going to come to engage me at close range or come to engage me, I'm going to take those shots. I'm going to push that heat. But if I'm closing with another mech, so my Warhammer is walking towards your Grasshopper. I say Grasshopper because we mentioned it, but also I have to be extremely aware that I've got heat issues you don't. At long range, I might fire two. But then as we get closer, I need to fire one. Got to keep that heat down. So when we switch to medium and short range, medium lasers, machine guns, SRM packs, things like that, I'm not going to be pushing the heat. So we see it as a one-off weapon. Now, it's also a novelty weapon in the lower tiers. In terms of a light mech, exploring, pushing variants aside, exploring the Puma or Panther. Panther, I always confuse those two. I'm not really a Karita player. But a light mech with a PPC and kind of okay armor. That's a novelty. So in that case, you have kind of a novelty role. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with that, especially since the light mech, it's really only firing that one and pushing that forward. So I won't say that it's the worst weapon in the game. It does, again, deliver 10 damage, consistent. But I don't really see it leading with every single turn firing all of them. And the advantage of the Marauder Warhammer dual PPC is it's there to push if you need it. And yes, if you get an arm blown off, you still got something in the game. But it's there to need it as in, if you haven't moved, and for some reason I got rear armor, I'm going to take those 2 shots if I have to push it. So, you're really damaged, you're smoking, you're burning, you've got an engine hit, you're into internals. I'm smoking, I'm burning, I'm into engine hit, I'm into internals, and it's like, in theory, the next hit could destroy us. Then yeah, I'm going to push everything. So there are times having 2. Times having 2. Best weapon in the game, yes. Fritz, what about the autocannon 20? And I love the autocannon 20, massive alpha damage, but that's brick in the face. You got to get up there, and it's a little bit easier than just getting up and mashing that fire button as fast as you can. There's a lot of subtle tactica, but the 10 damage consistent at long range, no ammo, frees up internal spots, don't have to worry about ammo explosion. I rarely worry about ammo explosion with AC-20s because I'm empty by the time it goes to those internals. That's the advantage of the PPC, but it is a very, very nuanced weapon. Best weapon in the game? Worth it? Avoid it? Take it? Your thoughts?